The morning sun cast a golden glow over the lush green lawns of Queen's Grace Academy, one of the most prestigious secondary schools in Nigeria. The school's reputation for academic excellence was unmatched, and its picturesque campus was the pride of the community. But recently, a shadow seemed to have fallen over the school, a shadow that whispered of dark secrets and unseen forces. Adanna, a 17-year-old scholarship student, walked briskly across the courtyard. She was determined to ignore the sidelong glances and whispered comments from her wealthier classmates. Their bullying had become a part of her daily routine, but she refused to let it deter her from her goals. Adanna was intelligent, driven, and had worked hard to earn her place at Queen's Grace. She knew that education was her ticket to a better future. However, something strange was happening at the school. Over the past few weeks, eerie noises had been heard at night. Whispers of an unseen presence echoed through the empty halls. Students began to fall ill with sudden, unexplained fevers. And then there were the symbols, strange, ancient symbols that appeared overnight, scrawled on walls and desks in a dark, almost menacing script. Adanna first noticed the symbols in the library. She had been studying late, long after most of the other students had left. The library was silent, the only sound the soft rustle of pages turning. But then, as she reached for a book on the top shelf, she saw a dark symbol etched into the wood of the bookshelf. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, and a shiver ran down her spine as she traced its intricate lines with her fingers. As the days passed, more symbols appeared, and the strange occurrences became more frequent. Adanna's curiosity was piqued. She had always been drawn to mysteries, and this one seemed to be calling to her. She began to gather information, talking to other students and piecing together the fragments of gossip and rumor. Many students believed that the school was haunted by a witch, a malevolent spirit seeking revenge for some long-forgotten wrong. Despite her fear, Adanna was determined to uncover the truth. She started by visiting the school archives, a dusty room filled with old records and forgotten books. She spent hours poring over documents, looking for any mention of the strange symbols or the rumors of a witch. Her search led her to a forgotten corner of the archive, where she found an old, leather-bound journal. The journal belonged to a former student who had attended Queen's Grace many years ago. The entries in the journal were filled with tales of strange occurrences and dark magic. The student wrote about the same symbols that Adanna had seen, describing them as powerful runes used to summon and control spirits. The journal also mentioned a name, Adebayo. Adebayo was a senior at Queen's Grace, one of the most popular and influential students. He was wealthy, charismatic, and had a reputation for getting what he wanted. Adanna had always found him to be charming but distant, as if he were hiding something. As she read the journal, a sense of unease settled over her. Could Adebayo be involved in the strange events at the school? Determined to find out more, Adanna decided to confront Adebayo. She knew it would be risky, but she had to know the truth. That night, as the moon hung high in the sky, she made her way to the old oak tree behind the school, where Adebayo often spent his evenings. Adebayo was there, as expected, sitting on a low branch and staring out into the darkness. Adanna approached him cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. "Adebayo," she called softly. He turned to look at her, his expression unreadable. "Adanna, what are you doing out here so late?" "I need to talk to you," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I've seen the symbols. I've heard the rumors. I need to know if you're involved in what's happening at the school." For a moment, there was silence. Then Adebayo smiled, a slow, chilling smile that sent a shiver down Adanna's spine. "You're a curious one, aren't you?" he said softly. "But curiosity can be dangerous. You might not like what you find." Adanna stood her ground, refusing to be intimidated. "I'm not afraid," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "I just want the truth." Adebayo's smile faded, and his eyes darkened. "Very well," he said. But remember, you asked for this." As he spoke, the air around them seemed to grow colder, and the shadows deepened. Adanna felt a surge of fear, but also a strange sense of resolve. She had started down this path, and she would see it through to the end, no matter what. The first chapter closes with Adanna standing firm, her determination unwavering. She knows that the journey ahead will be filled with danger and uncertainty, but she is ready to face it. The mystery of the school campus which is only beginning to unfold, and Adanna is prepared to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Adanna's heart pounded as she navigated the dimly lit corridors of the school, her footsteps echoing softly against the tiled floor. She clutched the small flashlight, its narrow beam piercing the darkness. The air felt heavy, laden with an unspoken tension. Strange incidents had been escalating, and she was determined to uncover the truth. Adanna had always been a curious and observant girl. Her scholarship to the prestigious school was a testament to her intelligence and perseverance. However, the recent string of eerie occurrences had her mind working overtime. Students had fallen ill without explanation, shadows seemed to move on their own, and whispered rumors of a witch haunting the campus were becoming harder to dismiss. Adanna's suspicions had landed on Adebayo, the charming and influential senior student. He had a way of always being around when something odd happened, and his cryptic comments often left her uneasy. Unlike many of her peers, Adanna wasn't easily swayed by his charisma. She sensed there was something darker lurking beneath his smooth exterior. Determined to find answers, Adanna decided to investigate the school's old library, a place few students ventured after dark. It was said to hold ancient texts and secrets long forgotten. She pushed open the heavy wooden doors, the creak echoing through the silent hallways. The musty smell of old books filled her nostrils as she stepped inside. The library was vast, with towering shelves lined with dusty tomes. Adanna's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. She made her way to the far corner where the oldest books were kept. Her fingers traced the spines of the books until she found what she was looking for, an ancient text on Nigerian folklore and witchcraft. As she flipped through the pages, her eyes widened with each revelation. The book detailed various symbols associated with dark magic, many of which she had seen around the school. There were also descriptions of rituals and spells used to control and manipulate others. Adanna's heart raced as she realized the extent of the danger they were in. Suddenly she heard a noise behind her. She spun around, her flashlight beam catching a figure in the doorway. It was Adebayo, his face a mask of calm curiosity. "What are you doing here, Adanna?" he asked, his voice smooth and disarming. "Shouldn't you be in bed?" Adanna's mind raced. She had to be careful. "I was just researching for an assignment," she lied, trying to sound casual. "What about you?" Adebayo stepped closer, his eyes glinting in the dim light. "I could ask you the same question. But it seems we both have our secrets, don't we?" Adanna swallowed hard, sensing the danger in his words. "I don't know what you mean." Adebayo chuckled softly, a sound that sent chills down her spine. "You're a smart girl, Adanna. Smarter than most. But some things are best left alone." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Adanna trembling with a mixture of fear and determination. She knew she was on the right track, but now she also knew she was being watched. Over the next few days, Adanna gathered her trusted friends Chika, a tech-savvy boy with a knack for hacking, and Funmi, a girl with a keen eye for detail and a brave heart. Together they decided to uncover more about Adebayo and his connection to the supernatural events. They began by searching the school's records and speaking to older staff members who might know more about the history of the school and its strange occurrences. What they found was chilling. Years ago, a student had been expelled for dabbling in dark magic, and there were rumors that he had left behind a legacy of cursed artifacts and unfinished spells. One evening, Chika managed to hack into the school's security system. He found footage of Adebayo sneaking into the school basement late at night. The basement, known to be a place of storage for old and forgotten items, seemed the perfect location for dark rituals. With this new lead, Adanna and her friends decided to explore the basement themselves. They waited until nightfall, slipping out of their dorms and making their way to the basement entrance. The door was old and creaky, and it took some effort to push it open. Inside, the air was damp and cold. Their flashlights flickered over dusty boxes, broken furniture, and cobwebs. As they ventured deeper, they found a hidden room behind a stack of old desks. The room was small, lit by the faint glow of candles. Symbols were drawn on the floor, and strange artifacts were placed on a makeshift altar. It was clear that someone had been performing rituals here. Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching. Panic surged through them as they realized they had been followed. They quickly hid behind some boxes, holding their breath as the footsteps drew nearer. Adebayo entered the room, his expression focused and intense. He began chanting in a language they didn't understand, but the power behind the words was unmistakable. The candles flickered, and the symbols on the floor seemed to glow. Adanna's heart pounded in her chest. She knew they had to do something, but they were unprepared for a direct confrontation. She signaled to her friends to stay hidden while she tried to get closer to see what he was doing. As she edged forward, she accidentally knocked over a small box. The noise was loud in the silence, and Adebayo's head snapped up. His eyes locked onto hers, filled with a mix of anger and surprise. "You shouldn't have come here, Adanna," he said, his voice low and menacing. "Now you've seen too much." Adanna stood her ground, her fear giving way to a surge of courage. "I know what you've been doing, Adebayo. This has to stop." Adebayo's lips curled into a sinister smile. "And who's going to stop me?" "You." Before she could respond, he began chanting again, the air around them growing colder. Adanna felt a force pushing against her, but she fought to stay upright. She glanced back at her friends, who were ready to spring into action. In a swift movement, Chika disabled the candles with a burst of water from a fire extinguisher they had brought, and Funmi used a mirror to reflect the faint light, disrupting Adebayo's concentration. The room plunged into darkness, and the force pushing against Adanna disappeared. Taking advantage of the chaos, Adanna lunged at Adebayo, knocking him off balance. They struggled on the floor, but Adanna's determination gave her strength. She managed to grab one of the cursed artifacts and threw it against the wall, shattering it into pieces. Adebayo let out a scream of rage as the power he had been harnessing dissipated. The symbols on the floor faded, and the room returned to normal. Adanna and her friends quickly tied him up, ensuring he couldn't cause any more harm. The next morning, the truth was revealed to the school. Adebayo was expelled and handed over to the authorities. The campus slowly began to recover from the fear that had gripped it. Adanna was hailed as a hero, her bravery and intelligence finally recognized by everyone. Adanna knew that while the immediate danger was over, there were still many questions left unanswered. She resolved to continue learning about the mysteries of the supernatural, ready to protect her school and friends from any future threats. As she walked through the now peaceful campus, Adanna felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had faced her fears and uncovered the truth, proving that light and courage could overcome even the darkest of secrets. Adanna's heart pounded as she stood in the school's assembly hall, surrounded by students and teachers. The hall, usually a place for morning announcements and celebrations, now felt like a courtroom. Whispers filled the air as the students, curious and afraid, glanced at Adanna and Adebayo. The tension was palpable, the heavy cloak that wrapped around everyone present. Adanna stepped forward, clutching the ancient book she had found in the library's hidden section. Its pages detailed the history of dark magic, and its symbols, the same ones she had seen around the campus. She had gathered enough evidence to expose Adebayo, and now was the time to reveal the truth. With a deep breath, she began to speak. Fellow students, respected teachers, we have all been living in fear because of the strange events happening around our school. After much investigation, I have discovered the cause of these events. She held up the book, letting everyone see the worn cover. This book contains the history of dark magic, the same magic that has been used to terrorize us. Gasps echoed through the hall. Adanna continued, her voice steady. Adebayo has been using this magic to control and frighten us. He has been manipulating us with his powers, hiding behind his charm and influence. Adebayo, standing at the back of the hall, smirked. His confidence, however, wavered as he noticed the determined look in Adanna's eyes and the murmurs of disbelief turning into whispers of anger from the students. These symbols Adanna pointed to the illustrations in the book are the same ones we've seen around the campus. They are marks of dark spells used for control and fear. She turned to Adebayo. Do you deny this? For a moment, Adebayo remained silent, his face a mask of defiance. Then, with a dramatic flourish, he stepped forward. I don't deny it, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. Yes, I used dark magic. But I did it for power, for control. I am above you all. I deserve to lead. The hall erupted in chaos. Students shouted in anger and fear. Teachers tried to calm them, but the revelation had shattered the calm facade of the school. Adanna's heart raced, but she stood her ground. Adebayo raised his hands, and a gust of wind swept through the hall, sending papers flying and causing the lights to flicker. The air grew colder, and an unnatural darkness began to seep in. If you think you can stop me, Adanna, you're wrong, he snarled. I am more powerful than you can imagine. Adanna's mind raced. She remembered the protective spells she had read about, the counter magic she had practiced in secret. Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. You may have power, Adebayo, but you've underestimated the power of truth and bravery. She began to chant the protective incantations, her voice rising above the chaos. A soft, golden light emanated from her, pushing back the darkness that Adebayo had summoned. The light grew brighter with each word, a beacon of hope and strength. Adebayo's smirk faded as he realized his spells were being countered. He pushed harder, summoning more dark energy, but Adanna's light was unwavering. The students and teachers watched in awe as the golden light enveloped the hall, dispelling the cold and darkness. Finally, with a final, powerful chant, Adanna sent a wave of light towards Adebayo. He was thrown back, hitting the wall with a thud. The dark symbols around the hall began to fade, their power broken. Adebayo lay on the floor, defeated and powerless. The hall was silent for a moment, the tension broken only by the sound of Adebayo's heavy breathing. Then, a cheer rose from the students. They rushed to Adanna, lifting her in celebration. Teachers congratulated her, their eyes filled with pride and gratitude. The school's administration quickly took control of the situation. Adebayo was taken away to face the consequences of his actions. The school implemented new measures to ensure such events would never happen again, focusing on the importance of vigilance and community. In the days that followed, Adanna became a hero. She was no longer just a scholarship student, but a symbol of bravery and integrity. The school atmosphere changed, with students and teachers alike inspired by her courage. Adanna reflected on her journey. She had faced fear and danger, but she had also discovered her own strength. She realized that standing up for what is right, even when it's difficult, is the most powerful magic of all. Walking through the now peaceful campus, Adanna smiled. She knew that her actions had made a difference, not just for herself but for everyone at the school. The future was bright, and she looked forward to what it held, confident in her ability to face any challenge. The story ends with a hopeful note showing Adanna's growth and the positive change she brought to her community. The light of truth had triumphed over the darkness, and the school was a better place because of it.